Hi, everybody. I wanted to start this week too with giving you a little bit of an intro to the workspace of InDesign. Now, I know that this is the prerequisite. The intermediate is the second class that you had of InDesign. However, going over some of the tools and the workspace is kind of like a review. It's nice to see what options there are before diving into our projects. As you see here, this is the InDesign workspace. I just basically launched InDesign, and you'll see when you click on InDesign that you have some presets here. You have your home button, and this basically gives you pre-selected, you know, applications that you can click on quickly, presets. Say if you want to do a printed letter, 8.5 by 11, iPad, a web design, a web page. It kind of gives you a quick, preset. So you could just click on that and go. Also, you have any recent work that you've done will show up here. You can change these presets. If obviously you can click it so it's maybe more of a file name, or if you want to see the actual documents. And if you've been working on this, you can click on it and it'll open it up so you can start working in that. Now, there are definitely some preferences. If you go up to InDesign on your menu bar and go down to preferences, you can change your appearance of your screen. Like for instance, here, appearance of black, you can change that. You can also change your units and increments. And this is actually an important step here before we get into our project. You want to go into your preferences, units and increments, just to make sure you have where it says ruler units, you have your horizontal and vertical set to inches. A lot of times this could be either I believe points is usually the default, but go ahead and change that for your upcoming project. If you click on Learn, this is a great area where you can learn different tutorials and demos within InDesign to say, like, if you want to learn more about formatting text, for example, there's a little 18-minute video tutorial for that. So this is a great resource to take advantage of if you need just a specific help on doing something. If you want to create a new file or you want to open a existing file, you can do that here as well. And obviously, if you're signed in, you can see your profile pic if you have that set up there as well. So that's just a little bit of an overview. If you choose, let's go ahead and do new file. What comes up is this new panel called New Document Panel. And this kind of, again, gives you some presets in here of customized sizes that you can click on if you know the size right away and you want to start quick. Also on the right here, once you click on these, they, obviously you can customize that by changing the width and the height. Here's where inches is. You can change that to inches. Your orientation of your page, how many pages you have, what you want to start with, what page you want to start with. And facing pages. Facing pages is something you want to have checked if you're doing, say, a magazine or a book. That way it's, kind of the way it would be printed. You're seeing it in that way where you have a double page spread. And then you have your columns and your column gutter. That's in between your gutters of your body copy. You also have your margins here. If you scroll down, that's the space around all of your work. You can adjust those. And then your bleed, which is if you have anything bleeding off the page, you can set that so that when it prints, you're not getting that weird gap if the printer were to shift, like the web press or the printing press. The slug is basically what you would use if you wanted to give notes to a printer that would not print, but it would be information for them to see in your file. And what that could be is, like, say, for instance, like Pantone colors that you used, you would want to, specify the number for that. You can look up recent saved print. So if you're going to do a print document, you can go right to print. It gives you some presets, layouts for that. If you're doing a website, gives you presets for that, and then mobile device. So it's kind of nice. It gives you, standard sizes for different phones here and iPads, as well as, like, for instance, web pages. So it's kind of cool. I'm just going to go to letter and click create. And we'll just kind of look at some things in here. So when you're in your workspace, you do have an option up here in the upper right-hand corner. Mine says Essentials. I don't know if you can see that. I'll click on it. This is like basically a way of you to get to certain panels quickly. Say, for instance, if you're doing a lot of typography, you could go ahead and click on typography, and it's going to bring up panels specific to what you would use in typography. Essentials is basically what the essentials is what we use in InDesign, the essential panels. You can also do a new workspace and name it, say, our class. So say new workspace, and you name it the class name. Okay. And then you want to make sure you capture the panel locations and menu customization. So then what happens is if you decide, oh, you know what, I want to have my object and layout align panel to be out here. And these also kind of attach if you have, like, you can go in and actually drop these depending on your panels here. You can actually hide them, bring them out. These are like little icons that kind of bring out these panels. But used to be able to attach. I think you can pull this. There we go. Pull it in, and you can actually pull it off of this little panel here, which this is kind of saves space if you want your workspace to be more clean. And then you can click on these favicons based on what you want to use. But anyway, say if you wanted your alignment panel to show and then your properties panel to show, when you save this and then close out and go back in, all of these panels will come up again, saved under your workspace title. Okay. So that's basically, your own preferences in your panels and what you want out here. You can always reset these. If you say reset GWDA, it'll reset everything kind of, if you have panels everywhere, it's kind of a nice way to restart so you can see everything. This is your toolbox. And if you click, there's little arrows here. If you click on those little arrows, it kind of gives you different orientations. If you'd rather work with a 2-column versus a 1-column, or if you want to do horizontal, there's ways to do that. If you want to hide it, you just click that X and bring it back up. You just go up to window and look for that, the tools panel. Okay. In here, you have your selection tools. So just like in Illustrator, let me draw out, this is the shape tool here. Just like in Illustrator, the black arrow, which is your selection tool, will help you select objects, type, for instance, too. And then the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow, allows you to manipulate these little vector points so that you could do more editing. Okay. So that's what that is. So if you want to move an object or text, you want to do it with the black arrow selection tool. If you want to manipulate that shape or that, if you're converting type to, for instance, shapes, you can do it with the direct selection tool. You have all kinds of different options here, tools in here that we might not necessarily use. It's just like they're here. I know a lot of the times I don't use a lot of these tools, but we all know the type tool. We'll get into that. Setting type on a path. If you don't see anything here that you say, you're like, oh, I don't, there's a tool in here that I don't see. Well, that's another thing I want to show you. That's the option here for seeing more tools. Let me see here, let's see, tool panels. There we go. There we go. It used to be view options. Let's see. Okay. Yes. So if you don't see anything in here, you want to click on any of the icons that have the little black arrow, hold that down, and you'll see more options underneath that. And you can always, select these tools whenever you're ready. Say if you want to do the ellipse tool, you can click on that. So anyone that has like a little arrow, just like an Illustrator, there's more tools under there. Okay, so you have you have your hand tool. This is a way to navigate on your page, say if you're zoomed in. Also another tip, if you hold down the space bar on your keyboard, it does the same thing. It's kind of like a shortcut. And presentation, and I like to flip through this sometimes, like say if you wanted to see a preview without, the bleeds showing, you can click on this little bottom icon and hit preview. You can also do the same thing in presentation. It just kind of makes it more, like a presentation mode with a black background. If you want to click back to that, you just click on the left here of this little icon. Another thing is zooming in, zooming out. You can also do with this tool. And, anytime you select a tool, always the properties panel is a great panel to select because it has a lot of these where it works. Say, for instance, you're going to reset your document size here if you need to reset it, your margin. So it's like a quick way to do some changes without actually having to go to the actual specific panel. So this is a nice panel to have up here. But anyway, this is your toolbox, and this is where you will, you'll utilize this going forward, selecting your pages. The window, again, these are just, maybe panels that you don't see are under here. And then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. We'll go into a little bit more detail as we go forward with, the project itself, and I'll kind of teach you where to find certain things. I'll do a step-by-step demo for each project so you guys are clear, hopefully, on how to do things. And just like an FYI, we used to have master pages in InDesign, but now they're called parent pages. So they changed the name of that. So if you hear me saying parent pages, that's basically what master pages are. And basically a parent page, for all of you probably are familiar with this, you can set, say, for instance, your page numbers on the parent page. You just have to click on the actual parent page up here. And we'll get into that in our demo next on how to do that. So it's something that you would use if you're you have reoccurring elements on each page and you don't want to copy and paste them, saving time. All right, so this is basically your overall layout. Yeah, and again, you have your preferences here under InDesign. Just make sure that you're going in here and changing your units and increments, your roller units to inches. Okay, that's the important thing there. I'll go into how to set your baselines as we go forward into your project and what that all means as well. But it's pretty simple. This is your page. Again, where the purple lines are is your margin space. You can always change that. For instance, your margins are over here. If you want to make them bigger, that's where you would adjust it. And that doesn't print. That's just for you to keep alignment to your type and your elements. So that purple line won't print, but where that black line is, that's where the trim edge is. So just FYI. All right. So as we go forward here, I will again go through each step for projects that you are doing, so that hopefully I'm saving time for you. You can go back and rewind the video and do step by step. Maybe watch it first, the whole video, and then you can kind of step by step it and rewind it if that's helpful for you. All right, I'm excited to get started.